Okay. Good morning. I wrote this somewhat humorous piece weeks ago before the atrocities in Israel and the new war began. Seeing isn't always believing. Today's teaching is about twos. The Torah begins with the letter Bet. The first letter of this parsha, the first word in this parsha is Bereishit, in the beginning. And Bet has a numerical value of 2. Creation from nothingness, day and night, connection and separation, good and evil, holy and mundane. All this talk about creation and twos reminds me of a joke that Rachel Pollack loved to tell. So here goes. A survivor on a deserted island is found after many, many years. The captain of the ship comes ashore to meet him. The man, Chaim, proudly shows him around the city he has built over the last 20 years. Over here we have the butcher, and over here we got the baker, and this is my shul. But the captain spots another building. What's that building over there? Oh, over there? Why, that's the other shul. Well, wait a minute. You're the only person living here on this island. Why are there 2 shuls? Chaim answers, oh, after what happened in that shul, I'll never go in there. And speaking of where to go and not go, today's teaching concerns itself with what to eat and not to eat, no matter how good it looks. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, in his essay about the sin of the tree, focuses on 2 modes of perception, seeing and listening. After a creator makes Adam, he instructs him not to eat from the tree of knowledge and good and evil. Once placed in the garden, Adam busies himself with naming all the creatures, but he feels lonely and asks Creator for a partner. Adam falls into a deep sleep, and then Creator takes some part of his side and creates Ezer Kenegdo, one who opposes the woman, a partner for Adam. After being convinced by the snake to try the fruit of the pretty tree out, the woman is lured by the beauty of the delectable fruit. Rabbis have debated on what that fruit was. We don't know what it was other than it was beautiful to look at. The 2 humans were drawn in by the visual and didn't heed the warning they heard. They focused their attention on the visual instead of listening, and thereby acquired shame, not guilt. Seeing involves honor, while listening involves righteousness. The negative side of these qualities is shame versus guilt. According to anthropologist Ruth Benedict, a society that values appearance concerns itself with honor, and a loss of honor brings on shame. A society that values righteousness values consciousness. Shame is other-directed, guilt is inner-directed. The sin of eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil is that they didn't listen. They heard God's voice moving about in the garden. How did Creator know they hadn't listened? When God asked where they were, Adam replied to God and said, I heard your voice in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid. And speaking of hiding, here's a second joke. A man comes home from a day of work and calls out to his wife, honey, I'm home. Where are you? I'm hiding. Honey, I bought you a present. Where are you? I'm hiding. Darling, you know that gorgeous mink coat you saw in the store window the other day? I bought it for you. Where are you? I'm hiding in the front closet. Like the wife in the joke, the first humans prioritized seeing over listening. They failed to stay connected to the wise instructions of Creator. Within the Garden of Eden, delight, Eden means delight, they had everything they needed to live in harmony with all the creatures without shame, with all their needs effortlessly provided for. In the first telling of the creation of Adam, God said, I've hereby given you every plant that reproduces by seed, that is upon the surface of the entire earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit. That shall be food for you, for all the wild animals of the earth, for all the birds of the skies, for everything which moves upon the earth that is alive. The food shall be plant vegetation. And that's what happened. God commanded man, saying, you may eat freely from every tree of the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For on that day that you eat from it, you will certainly die. It reminds me of a father talking to his child, a recent college graduate, saying, I fed you, I put clothes on your back, braces on your teeth, sent you to school, and given you half the business. Now don't blow it. The second iteration of humanity's creation says that nothing had yet sprouted because God had not brought rain upon the earth, since there was no man to work the soil. This verse offers a bit of foreshadowing. God made every tree that is pleasant to look at. And then in chapter 2, verse 8, God planted a garden in Eden and placed there the man that he had formed. Since God placed Adam inside the garden, one can infer that Adam experienced life outside of the garden. So what was he thinking? Once they ate, they saw they were naked and hid from shame. They separated from their total connection with the divine because they were preoccupied with the physical. Creator wanted them to live in 100% connection with spiritual consciousness. Rather than listen to Creator's instruction, they focused on the material, the beauty of the fruit. The significant difference between guilt and shame is you feel guilty when you understand you made a mistake, you later regret it, and guilt is about regretting a wrong action. When you feel shame, you feel yourself are wrong. Creator saw that out of shame, they fashioned clothing of fig leaves. And this is why Rabbi Nehemiah asserts that the tree was a fig tree. That which caused their downfall, he says, was then used to rectify them. My favorite midrashic explanation is that God did not disclose the identity of the tree species in order to protect the honor of the tree. If we knew, we'd be likely to point it out and say, see that tree over there? You see that tree? After what happened to that tree, I'll never eat from it. The story of the first humans is a lesson of valuing listening over seeing. As Rabbi Sachs writes, Judaism is a religion of listening, not seeing. That is not to say there is no visual elements in Judaism. There are, but they're not primary. Listening is the sacred task. The most famous command in Judaism is Shema Yisrael. Listen, Israel. What made Abraham, Moses, and the prophets different from their contemporaries was that they heard the voice that to others was inaudible. In one of the great dramatic scenes of the Bible, God teaches Elijah that he is not in the whirlwind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in the still, small voice. It takes training, focus, and the ability to create silence in the soul to learn how to listen, whether to God or to a fellow human being. Seeing shows us the beauty of the created world, but listening connects us to the soul of another, and sometimes to the soul of the other, God, as he speaks to us, calls to us, summoning us to our task in the world. End quote. When I'm able to tune into that still small voice, my creative juices begin to flow, and I can actively create, feeling the connection to the rivers that flowed from Eden, delight to water my garden. The garden provided delight in every way, including fruit from all the trees, except for that one tree. For the first humans, it wasn't enough to have almost everything. They had to have the one thing they couldn't have. Aren't we just like that? Even when we see that we have so much, we want more. We aren't listening to the song of life. We're living in exile. Creativity is a gift from the Creator. In those moments, I know that I have everything I need and there's nothing missing from my life. I don't know what kind of tree the first humans ate from, but there are times when I know I'm the apple of God's eye. May God, who listens to our prayers with compassion and mercy, return the hostages, heal the injured, comfort the mourners, and restore peace in Israel. Am Yisrael Chai. Dibarti.